Hello! We are writing equations of sine functions, given the property of that one function. So for the first one, I have the amplitude is 1, period is 4 pi, and then it goes through the point 2 pi 1. Where do we start? So this is my standard form for the sine function. So I need a, b, c, d in order to get that equation written out. So a, b, c, and d. So whenever possible, I will only hope that c or d are zeros, just because it makes everything easy. So the amplitude, so amplitude is a, so it's 1. Period is 4 pi, so I can calculate, given the period, I can calculate b. I know that the period is 2 pi over absolute value of b. So if the period is that, so I have 4 pi. I have to solve for b, multiply both sides by absolute value of b. So 2 pi equals 4 pi b. Divide both sides by 4 pi. You get b is 1 over 2. And after you do a couple of these, you're going to get the pattern here without having to write everything out every time. So let's assume that for now, c is 0. And I will show you an example when c definitely cannot be 0. So we can find d and then write out our function. So from here, I have a, b, c, and I'll plug everything in so I can find d. My function right there goes through the point 2 pi and 1, so I'll go ahead and plug in 1 for y, 2 pi for x, so I can solve for d. So here we go. Plug in 1 for y. A is 1. B is half. I'm just going to do 0.5. X is 2 pi. C is 0 for now. Okay. Now, half times 2 is 1. Yes? 1 pi. So I need to find what sine of pi is. So handy dandy unit circle right here. Sine of pi. So 0 pi, half pi, 1 pi. Remember that sine is the y value of that one point right there on the unit circle. So pi is right there. Sine of pi is the y value, so 0. So this guy right here is 0. Now that leaves me with d equals 1. D equals 1. Now I have a, b, c, 0, and d equals 1. Now I have everything I need to write the equation of the sine function with amplitude of 1, period 4 pi, and that goes through the point 2 pi 1. Okay, so amplitude is 1, so I don't have to write it, just sine. B is half right there. Half x, so I can just write x over 2. C is 0. And then plus d is 1. Okay, here we have a is 2. We need to calculate b. So period is 2 pi, absolute value of b. And I know the period is 3 pi, sorry. Multiply both sides by absolute value of b. So here I have 2 pi equals 3 pi b. Divide both sides by 3 pi. I have b equals 2 over 3. So before I assume c is 0, I'll get there. So the whole point of c being 0 is just easier for us to calculate. So every time we end up with trying to calculate the sine of something. So everything that it's 0 or pi over 2 or pi or 3 pi over 2, notice that the sign will always be friendly. It will not be anything like negative square root of 3 over 2. It will be either 1, negative 1, and it's really nice when sine of whatever that is 0. It just makes our calculations easier. So whatever it is, I'm going to try to make those multiples of pi over 4 or pi over 2. Sorry about that. Over 4 would end up over there, and it's not pretty. Okay, focus on the mission. We're still trying to find C. In this case, we're going to substitute y right there for 2. 2 is y. A is 2. Sine B is 2/3. X, I'm right there. So x is 3 pi over 4. And then at this point, that's when we make a choice. That's when we make our decision. So when we simplify here, I simplify this fraction, I get 2 right there. So think about the unit circle again. When I'm trying to find sine of pi over 2, pi over 2 is right there. Sine of pi over 2 will be 1. So that is doable. That means C can be 0. Okay, so plus D. So I have 2 equals 2 sine of pi over 2 plus D. Now from the unit circle, sine of pi over 2, sine is the y value, it's 1. So right here, this value is 1. Okay? So 2 equals 2 times 1 is 2 plus D minus 2 on both sides. I have D equals 0. All right, write the equation. F of x, D is 0. F of x, A is 2. Sine of B is 2/3. And then x. C 0, D 0. So here we go again. A is 3. We need to find B. We need to calculate B. So period is 5 pi over 3. So 2 pi over absolute value of B equals 5 pi over 3. Cross multiply that. So I have B 5 pi equals 6 pi. Divide both sides. I have B equals 6 over 5. Okay. So now I have this pretty little thing right here. Don't get intimidated by this. This is X and this is Y. Okay. So A is 3. And then I have A. No, that is not right. So Y is 1. A is 3. Sine B. B is 6 over 5. X, 4 pi over 3. Just like what we did in example 2, at this point we need to figure out what C could be to make our life doable. So 6 and 3 simplifies. I have 2 right there. Man. So when I look at this, I have, thank you, I have plus C and then plus D that I'm looking for. I will clean this up and then I'm gonna, so 4 and 2 is 8 pi over 5. Now, look back at your unit circle. When we're trying to choose a value for C, anything that falls where the sine of that angle falls in one of these four, that's what we want to do. But what is easier and better than when sine of whatever that angle is, you get 0? You know, everything multiplied by 0. 0 is just beautiful. Anyways, so we're going to try to make this 0 pi. How do you make this 0 pi? Oh, you do minus whatever this value is. Ta-da! So 8 pi over 5. You can't see. It was orange. But 8 pi over 5. It was green, but looks black. It's okay. Now I can solve for D, because I know this adds up to 0, and I know sine of 0 is 0. And 3 times 0, voila, is 0 again. It makes everything better. So if this whole thing is 0, if this is 0, sine of 0 is 0, 3 times 0 is 0. So this is 0. I have 0 right there. Okay? Plus D. That makes D, so C is negative 8 pi over 5. D is, voila, 1. Now we have everything we need to write our function. So f of x, I have A is 3, sine B is 6 over 5, x. And then C is 8 pi over 5 plus 1. Voila. So every time you want this angle right here to be 0. That makes everything better because it's easier for you to isolate D from that point.